Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends. This morning we are going to talk about the second part, the mystery of the Guru. Why we need the Guru? And who is Guru, by the way? Who qualifies for being the Guru? As we have known and we have observed that the evolutionary station of humanity requires somebody to ride the DOS, because the human child comes to this earth as the infinite bundle of innocence and the trust that my parents, whom I choose, they will write the software for the survival skills and the evolutionary skills as well. So the very first Guru is Mother, the one who gives birth, the one who is the creator of this body, the human body, who begins with an insignificant zygote and then keeps on aiding and giving shape to our body. So the education from Mother begins not post-birth, but it begins pre-birth. From the very day, the very moment of fertilization of the zygote, the egg and sperm. My dear brothers and sisters, so the first Guru a human child needs is the mother. Whatever kind of thoughts she entertains within the period of pregnancy, whatever kind of words she is using, and whatever kind of action she is performing within that period. Because as we know that every human thought has the power to change the chemical ambience, the internal atmosphere of our body. And in correspondence with our thoughts, there is a chemical cascade just in correspondence with a thought, which is like a material correspondence. Or we could say the collapse of the wave function and beginning of the particle, the material. So the chemical molecules are secreted and they build the human cells, they build the body. So every thought is important, every word is important, because through the Neurolinguistic programming, NLP, we program our own mind. So the mother programs her own mind. And according to that programming, again there is a secondary chemical cascade. So this manufacturing goes on in the womb, and then after the birth, she is the first Guru. Then the parents together are the Guru. They are the teachers, first teachers. We need the Guru because we come here to practice the infinite innocence and the trust, not only in our parents, but in the whole universe. because we are the evolutionary apex. And the universe has worked for more than 14 billion years. They say 13.5 or something, to be exact. So many billion years. The universe has worked so hard to bring us to this evolutionary station where the humanity is today. And the human child comes to practice. We all come to practice here, the infinite innocence and trust. An all-inclusive compassion, unconditional, unloved, and all the greatest divine attributes which have the greatest circle of compassion. We come here to practice all that, to create an ecosystem of peace, progress and prosperity. So we need, after parents, we need another guru. As we have seen that post-industrial revolution, all the Western education system, which has the only one goal to prepare humanity to work for somebody. The modern education system prepares a human being for a profession, but not as a earth citizen, as a good human being. It is not concerned with preparing the humanity for the earth citizenship. It only prepares clerks, professionals, the people who could work, who could join the great force, the workforce, the great chain of slaves who work 9 to 5 for just 1% of people. That's the modern education. It doesn't prepare a good human being. So we have the need, as the wisdom tradition of ancient India used to have the great tradition of guru. And we used to have gurukuls, our schools of initiation, of earth citizenship, where a disciple or a student will learn how to become the best citizen of earth, to live in harmony with the environment, to live in harmony with the nature, and with the fellow beings, and with the fellow sentient beings. Practicing infinite innocence and the trust and the compassion, all-inclusive, unconditional compassion towards every sentient being, and allowing them their right of existence and their happy existence, and the fuel efficiency, to take minimum and give out the maximum good to the universe, to the environment, and practicing and focusing the mind on divine attributes, the attributes which have the greatest circle of compassion. My dear brothers and sisters, that was the education system. Having a chain of gurukuls all over India, all over the great Bharatvarsha, which was extended not only what you see today, the India, but the borders of till Australia, New Zealand, all the Pacific islands, all over the world. That was the education system of India, established by the great wisdom tradition of India, to prepare the human beings for the earth citizenship. But today the education system prepares people as slaves to work for 9 to 5 jobs for 1% of the people. I don't need to criticize anybody, but I'm trying to show you the attitude. I'm trying to show you what we have done to humanity today. And instead of helping evolution of humanity towards the divine human beings, as the Devi Devata, we have dehumanized the humankind into reactionary human beings. From mammalian mind, from the human mind, we have gone back to the reptilian mind, the mind which is reactive mind, which doesn't act, doesn't make good use of the experiential wisdom, which doesn't make good use of the evolutionary wisdom, but just reacts. It never acts. And today, all the problems, the global problems of the tension, fights, of self-possessiveness of the idealism, telling each other and judging each other, I am right and you are wrong. And we are fighting with each other just to prove the point that I am right and you are wrong. My dear brothers and sisters, if you give a thought, then you can definitely see what we have done to the humanity. Yes, of course, I agree with that we have all the material comforts. We have all the technology. But we are lagging behind in preparing the humanity for earth citizenship. My dear brothers and sisters, we do need the Guru. Why we need the Guru? Because we need an institution which can help humanity to become earth citizens, responsible earth citizens, who live in harmony with nature, who live in harmony with Mother Earth, who live in harmony with the biosphere, and who feed the biosphere with love, compassion, equality, justice, and all the great divine attributes, having the greatest circle of compassion and love. We need the humanity, we need the collective humanity's mind, the global mind, to feed the biosphere with love and compassion. My dear brothers and sisters, we need those institutions, those gurukuls, those ashrams, where we have a guru to help us to become the good earth citizen. How and who could be? We can't afford to have gurus who create dependence. We can't afford to have gurus who are only after their own self-glory and gratification and collecting and making the empires, the great ashrams. No, my dear brothers and sisters, we don't need those gurus, because they are also at the same level of creating slaves, because they tell their disciples to dress up like this and have this identification, these garlands, this dress code. Good Lord, are they gurus? Are they preparing the humanity for the earth citizenship? Or they are just only interested to collect money and their self-glory? No, we need gurus who are like Lord Shiva. The great tradition in the wisdom tradition of India, ancient India, the tradition of the Guru began with Shiva, Lord Shiva. And if we don't want to say Shiva, we don't need to. We could say the molecule of water. A Guru has to be egoless. A Guru must never insist on his own identity, not only the identity of the form, taste, color, but not even the identity of his own teachings, insisting that I am right. No, he must allow the enough room to the disciples to decide for themselves what is right and what is wrong for themselves, but to initiate them in the path of the true dharma. So we need the Guru who is like water, egoless, who gives the wake-up call to the potential, the inherent potential of the human being, and then let it flourish, and let it bloom, and let it grow into the tree of life. And the Guru watches over the disciple, irrigates time to time, gives the water, the elixir of immortality, the elixir of love and care and compassion towards the disciple. And this care and compassion goes beyond the sense of security of the Guru himself, of his own body. He loves the disciple beyond himself. What do I mean by he loves the disciple? And the welfare of the disciple and the future of the disciple, because he is preparing the disciple for the earth citizenship. So his goal is far away. And he is ready to sacrifice, he is ready to do anything for that. And he is ready to let go of his own personal security. He is ready to let go of his personal interests. And this little story will tell you the essence of the Guru. One time, one of the ashram, a gurukul, where this great Guru used to teach and prepare the children for the earth citizenship in his gurukul. So in this forest dwelling, in his humble ashram, living in middle of the nature, with his group of students. And one day, his friend came visiting him. So he welcomed his friend and invited him to stay with him for a few days and enjoy the nature. And his friend agreed happily because the forest dwelling was so beautiful and so serene, and such a harmony and the atmosphere of love and compassion around for every sentient being. So every sentient being around, the trees, the sentient beings, everyone was so happy. The atmosphere was so beautiful. So the friend decided to stay for a few days with him. Next day, one of the disciples made such a bad mistake. And he repeated that mistake even after correcting. The Guru gave him the right instructions and he said, please improve and don't make this kind of mistake again, because it's a bad mistake. And you must behave like this. So that was a correction. the course correction of the behavior of the disciple or the student. But the next day, the same student made that same kind of mistake again. And his friend was watching what was going on in the class, in the session. And the third day, the great guru said to his friend, invited his friend to have breakfast. So at the breakfast table, the guru was not having anything. So the friend said, please, why don't you eat and have your breakfast? He said, no, I'm on fast. I'm on fasting. So he said, why you are on fasting? Tell me. So he said, I'm fasting for the mistake of my student. They said, what? You are fasting for the mistake of your student? That's his job to make the correction. That's his job. That's his life. And he is responsible for making that mistake, the correcting that mistake. Why you should go for the fasting and torture yourself? So the Guru said, I torture myself because this is my problem. Before this is the problem of the student, this is my problem because there is something wrong with my teachings that I could not convey the essence to the mind of my student. So there is something wrong with me. I'm not the right guru. I have to go on fasting for the welfare of my student. And I need to extend my compassion and love and communicate with the being of my student through fasting, through non-local consciousness. Because through fasting one can, as Mahatma Gandhi used to connect with the non-local consciousness through fasting. We could connect with the whole universe. Because that's the time the overpowering conscious mind gets subdued. My dear brothers and sisters, that is the attitude of the real guru, who goes on fasting for the mistakes of the students. So that is what the guru is. Thank you very much and have a very, very beautiful day. Thanks.